Hey guys, Mike here from Lunch Money Comics. I'm back at my tried and true LCS, His and Her Comics in Greenfield, Massachusetts, because the owner just got in a huge collection of comic books, like 20 long boxes, and everything's $1. They haven't even gone through it yet, so there's definitely some gems to be found. So let's go inside and see what we can end up with. All right. A lot of books. Start digging. Cool.
I was going to show you, because you're into the Dave Stevens stuff, I was watching a video the other night, and someone had a book of Dave Stevens that I'd never seen before.
Oh man, how about this?
That's wild. Look at that.
Guess what else you might like is in this box. I think it was this box. There, you found it. And,
There we go. First, James Rhodes in the War Machine armor.
Is it really?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Can't say no to those.
dig in.
Oh, cool. So I think I'm actually going to grab an entire box of comics. It's pretty cool stuff in here. I'm not sure yet. See if I get a good deal.
Yeah, probably. That's going to cost me $5 more.
Yeah. Josh cherry picked the first crossbones out of here.
Yep.
It's part of the fun, right?
I almost hate doing it because
You break it up.
someone can't get the rest of them.
Yeah. That's why you got to pick a
But you
series no
still
one cares
took the
about.
best book for the Daredevil collector that was in
I
here.
did.
Oh man, all these too. Oh nice. Nope. Cool. So right when I made room in my basement, I went and bought another long box of comic books, but it was a deal that I could not refuse. Let's go home and see exactly what is in this box that I got and how much I paid for it. So there you go, guys. That was my quick stop at my favorite local comic book store, His and Her Comics in Greenfield, Massachusetts. You heard me say it in the footage. I got a phone call saying they had just got a collection in, over 20 long boxes, and they were selling everything in there for $1 a piece. I rushed down there as fast as I possibly could, and I gotta tell you guys, you know, they didn't really go through the boxes before putting that dollar sale up. I saw a ton of people in there pulling out books, pretty big keys, that were worth way more than $1 a piece. So I was pretty excited to start digging. And I know I said at the beginning of the year, a New Year's resolution would be cut back on quantity and focus on quality in 2024. Well, here I am buying my second long box of comics in just as many weeks. I only did it, guys, because I couldn't say no not only to the books that were in here, but definitely not to the price. I got this for an absolute steal. I think you guys are going to agree. So before I show you exactly what I got, head on down, hit the like button, leave me a comment. Feel free to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram under Lunch Money Comics IG. Let me show you exactly what's in this box and more importantly, what I paid for it. So first, I think I need to explain how going to a $1 comic book sale resulted in me getting an entire long box of comics. It wasn't actually because they were $1 a piece. As a matter of fact, I got this box way cheaper than that. No, the reason is you guys saw the types of comic books that were in this collection. Lots of stuff from the 80s, especially the 90s, and a little bit of the 2000s. And although it spanned multiple publishers, most of it was Marvel. So two things struck me. One, these are the comic books I collected as a kid. You know, lots of titles that I loved as a kid and books I'm still very much interested in. The second thing was a lot of it was complete runs. I'd find a title, I'd look and like, oh, this first issue, second issue, third issue, and no matter how short or long the run is, most of them were full. Like I said, he had just got the collection in and not a lot of time had passed for people to cherry pick the keys out of there. With a few exceptions, I think you did hear me say it in the footage. A couple of my friends beat me to the punch, and they did cherry pick a couple of the bigger keys out of there. But for this title that really struck my interest, two things. One, there aren't many big keys in it. It's not very interesting to a lot of people, so it wasn't cherry picked. It was complete, 125 issues plus annuals, and I had to have it, right? This is my New Year's resolution, and here I am 1 month into the year, and I'm staring at the entire run. So I turned to the owner, Nishan. Hey, Nishan, I'm really interested in, in 2/3 of this long box. Can you give me a deal on these 125 books? And he said, how about $90? Guys, I was already sold, already a great deal. Doesn't matter, right? But then I said, well, I have some other books I'm interested in pulling out. I saw some other ones. How much just to fill up the rest of the box? And he thought for a moment and he said, still $90. Okay, so I'm telling you guys the cost up front. I got everything here for $90. I think you're going to agree I got that deal just in the run completing, but I can't wait to show you what else is in this box. So what run really started this conversation? Well, it's this one. So Excalibur was an X-Men affiliated team that I was into as a kid, mostly because it starred my favorite superhero, Nightcrawler, as a member. You see he's on my shirt right here. They first started in this issue right here. This is a one-shot done by Chris Claremont, my favorite writer, art by Alan Davis. And yeah, this is a one-shot in 1987. People liked it, so not too long after, in 1988, it started its own series, okay? The first 34 issues were written by Chris Claremont. When he left the title, Davis actually took over. He was doing art and story for a while. And yeah, it ran from 1988 to 1998, so 10 years. I gotta tell you guys, not only do I have 1 through 125, it ended right here with the marriage of Megan and Captain Britain. I also have annuals in here. I have other one-shots, and basically everything you see where my hands are is that run. 130 plus issues for $90, guys. I was already sold, already got a great deal. I'll pull out a couple of these books just so you can see the great art on them. Let me know down in the comments if any of you are Excalibur readers. Again, as a kid, I like them not just because of Nightcrawler, but because they also dealt with a lot of like magic stuff, lots of like Arthurian legends and things like that. So they were kind of like the more magic-y X-Men. So that's why I kind of like them. Awesome series, guys. If this was what was in the box and I paid $90 for it, I'd be happy making this video and telling you guys I finished one of my 2024 goals a month in. But I'm not stopping there, right? I had another third of a box to fill up, and there were a lot of other titles I was interested in. So I've recently talked about the fact that obviously I am an X-Men fan. I'm trying to finish a lot of the X-Men going all the way up from the Chris Claremont run onward, up to like issue 500 or so. And I'm missing a good number of years because I collected in the early 90s, but then there was a couple year gap where I didn't really collect comic books too much. So I'm missing a lot of stuff from like the mid 300s all the way up to like 400 or so. Well, I look in the boxes and what do you know? I find tons of issues of not only Uncanny X-Men, but the other, just the X-Men run. Tons of them, guys. And they were in there not sequentially by title. They were in there sequentially in reading order. So they had both titles going back and forth. I couldn't help myself, guys. I grabbed all of these as well. All sorts of goodies in there that were kind of interesting. There was also a run of Unlimited X-Men. It's a series I read when I was a kid. Just another X-Men title. I have a lot of these, but here we have the first 14 issues. I think I left off somewhere around like issue 8 or 9. So to get some more of these for pretty much nothing, house money, I was very happy to do it. Also, Another very cool thing that was in here. In the mid-90s, what would the X-Men be in the mid-90s without the Age of Apocalypse? There were lots of titles that dealt with dystopian futures with the X-Men. That's sort of their thing. So a lot of stuff affiliated with the Age of Apocalypse, including X-Men Alpha, which was the first appearance of the Age of Apocalypse, X-Men Omega, and of course, guys, you get these chrome foil covers that were ubiquitous back in the 90s, and I was a complete sucker for them, honestly. So yeah, guys, again, I can't take everything out, but you get the idea. This is probably 50 or 60 books in here of an X-Men gap that I absolutely needed. But I'm actually going to take out a batch of books right now and put this stupid box on the ground. It's really heavy. Ugh. To show you some of the other fillers that I grabbed while I was digging around. I didn't mean to grab this one. I've talked about this book 1,000 times on my channel. You guys have a book ever that just keeps finding you? Or you keep finding it? That's this one. This is X-Men #1, first appearance of Nate Gray. I've talked about him 1,000 times on my channel recently because it's like the 6th one I found in the last month. I'm not going to talk about it anymore now. So here's a couple books I found that I just thought were really, really cool. Starting with this. So this is Alpha Flight 53. Alpha Flight is another one of those X-Men affiliated titles I want to finish this year. But the ones that were in these boxes were not a complete run. They were sporadic, and because I didn't have my list on me, sort of last second, I didn't want to grab all of them. However, my friend Josh found this one. He said, hey, I thought you might want this one, and I did. This issue here is from 1987. This actually has a cool claim to fame. It's the first cover art by Jim Lee in Marvel Comics. So Jim Lee, of course, known for his huge influential work on the X-Men in the early 90s, and nowadays, of course, he's the president of DC. Kind of a big deal. This is the first cover he ever did for Marvel. Pretty interesting fact there. I don't really know what's going on. You see Wolverine jumping out of a robot, I guess. Still, I thought it was super cool, guys. I didn't have this book in my run anyway, so happy to pick this one up. I thought it was a cool little fact to share on the channel as well. I mentioned my favorite character is Nightcrawler. I couldn't go without getting this. I have several copies of this miniseries, guys. This is Nightcrawler's first, limited series, 4 issues done by Dave Cockrum, actually, one of my favorites. I thought it was cool. Again, I own a ton of these. Had to pick it up. Interestingly enough, I'm a big fan of James Rhodes' War Machine. A lot of people know him from the MCU. And so I actually found a whole bunch of books that were affiliated with him, key issues I thought were worth picking up. So Iron Man number 282 is the first time you see the War Machine armor on the cover. Very famous cover. It's worn by Tony Stark in that issue, as well as this issue. This is the second cover appearance of the War Machine armor. We still have Tony Stark in that War Machine armor. Well, the very next issue is interesting because it shows the supposed death of Tony Stark. He's not really dead, of course. But that means this is the first time James Rhodes actually puts on the War Machine armor. He's still called Iron Man, but it's actually now James Rhodes in the armor. So pretty cool. And then we have this one. They had a pretty good run of Avengers West Coast. This is number 94. And this is the first time that James Rhodes is in the armor and is called War Machine. It becomes an official member of the Avengers West Coast. So kind of cool when you can find some minor key issues that haven't been cherry-picked, guys. You know, they're not worth a lot of money, but I thought they were neat. As a War Machine fan, happy to grab these. Hey, there's some DC fans out there that I know are watching this. I don't give enough DC love. There weren't many DC titles in these boxes, but there was one that I thought was very interesting, and it's 52. So let's go back to 2005. 2005, we had a storyline called Infinite Crisis. Basically, kind of a sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths of the 80s. Long story, very short. At the end of that results in Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, DC's big 3, leaving, right? They're not superheroes anymore. And then the storylines in DC pick up 1 year later in a storyline called, suitably, 1 year later. Basically, what happened with the world without the big 3. Well, to sort of fill in that gap, DC put out 52, where basically every week they put out 1 issue for 52 weeks, telling what happened in that sort of missing year. Now, I see these books all the time. There's not a ton of big books in there, but there are several keys, at least that I know about. Now, there was not a full run. If there was, I probably would have grabbed them all because I have a lot already. Thought it'd be kind of fun to finish it. There wasn't. So these are the ones I grabbed. We're starting with the first one. This is week 1, and you see the cowl, Superman's cape, and Wonder Woman's lasso and sword, right? Them sort of, showing that they're not around anymore. But this one is probably the biggest key that's in the entire run. This is week 11. This is the first appearance of the new Batwoman, Kate Kane, in costume. She does appear the character of Kate Kane a few issues before this, but this is the first time we get her as Batwoman. She's mostly known, I think, because she actually had a television show. She was in the Arrowverse on CW, played kind of notoriously by several different actresses. She's a cool character. She has a pretty good little cult following. I think she's a cool character, and this is definitely the biggest key that's in the series. I've owned it in the past, recently traded it away. Here I find one for less than $1. Had to get it. And the very next issue is week 12. This is the first appearance of the character of Isis. I think it's the second Isis, the wife of Black Adam. I just think she's a great looking character. She's really cool. Happy to pick it up, and I knew it was like a key issue. So I had to grab it for you DC fans. Let me know if any of you have read the entire 52. That'd be very impressive if you have. Love to hear from you, and let me know how many of you out there are Kate Kane Batwoman fans. One more book before I get to the big book. This is a book I always pick up when I find it. The owner, Nishan, knows it, and he put it off to the side for me. This is Heroes for Hope, starring the X-Men. I don't want to get too much into this, but I'll just say I have a copy of this that I've been very famously getting signed by everybody who's worked on this book, as many as I possibly can. Everyone worked on this book in the 80s, guys, and whenever I find a copy of it, I pick it up because I like giving it away to my friends. It's a cool curiosity. You can watch my other videos if you want to learn more about it. Had to get it. Which brings us to our last book, guys. I absolutely cherry-picked this one. Guilty as charged. There was a pretty good run, and I'm the jerk that broke it up. But still, guys, I was happy to pick up this book. It's a book I've owned in the past and actually gave away for one of my giveaways, so I was happy to get it back. And it's this. This is Black Panther #1, Volume 3 from 1998. And this series actually kicked off a lot of what we know about the modern Wakanda and the mythology associated with it. And a lot of the stuff that was in this series, you've seen in the MCU, in not only the 2 Black Panther movies, but also in the Avengers movies. In this issue here, we get the first appearance of the Dora Milaje, which is the all-female, bodyguards of Black Panther, and most prominently, their leader, Okoye. Now, Okoye has become pretty much a household name because of the MCU, played by Denai Guerrera. She relative obscurity to a pretty big character everyone knows and loves. This is her first appearance. You also get the first appearance of Nakia, who's also in the MCU, and Zuri, who was in the first movie, I think played by Forrest Whitaker. So a lot of big sort of mythology building stuff for Wakanda started in this issue right here to kick off Volume 3. This first issue has a lot of those first appearances, and because of that, this book can go for a little bit of money. It's come down a lot, absolutely, along with a lot of other comic books, but guys, it's absolutely worth more than $1. Happy to get this and kind of just toss it in the box. So like I said, guys, if I had just gotten, that entire long box for $90, well, I'll hold it up again, just for the run of Excalibur, I'd be making this video anyways, and I'd be happy. I'd have a big smile on my face for finishing this run to start off the year. But the fact that I can cap it off with a whole bunch of X-Men books I needed for my X-Men run, as well as some pretty decent keys and books I like, I think it's an absolute steal for $90. But don't take my word for it, guys. Head on down in the comments and you sound off. Let me know if you think I got a good deal for these. Let me know if you've read any of these books. If you're an Excalibur fan, X-Men, Black Panther, or 52, I'd love to hear from you. And that's it, guys. In the meantime, keep hunting for comic books in strange and unusual places. Always support your local comic book stores, guys, because they give you fantastic deals. If you're always looking out for them, they will look out for you. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.